So Carson Teva dropped just under 24 hours ago and transformed people's scores, or did he? I did say when his kit first came out, when we were looking at the video the other day, that against the Jotaz he's going to struggle just a little bit, but after doing all of the refreshes, literally every single refresh on the Coliseum boss yesterday for the Jotaz, I came up with some findings around best teams to use. We're going to show the free-to-play account, we're going to show the main account, alright? Let's do this, baby. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of the tribe, and welcome back to another Galaxy of Heroes video with me, your bold boy Scribe. How the devil are you doing? And welcome to your daily dose of swagger. Yes, that's right. Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Carson Teva, he is officially in the game. We finally have an appropriate leader for our new Republic. As you can see right now on my free-to-play alt account, I've got a level 85 Teva. We've got 84 on RD4527.5 and 83 on Colonial Ward over here. The thing that is holding me back right now is, of course, the materials. Now, Carson Teva is definitely going to be the best lead, generally speaking, in almost every single setup, I feel, apart from the Jotaz, unless you have progressed far enough, okay? It really comes down to error levels, guys. Really does. From what I've gathered, if you are sort of whaling pretty heavily and you've got level 95 on your New Republic, your best squad is going to be Carson Teva lead. From what I did in my testing yesterday, it looks like if you do not have it, this is the team that has gotten me the best results. I'm using Embo lead with Cad Bane, Drogon, Cara Dune, and Captain Teva. Carson, he's actually pretty good regardless if he's in the lead or not. Let's make sure that we've got this going. This team over here has gotten me relatively far through stage 8. I like to go ahead and place the Keen Stratagem on Cad Bane. Embo is great and everything. Cad Bane has a chance to double tap on his basic, and we're really looking to try and get that contract on Embo as soon as possible. So when we're doing the call to assist from Carson, we're going to use that on Cad Bane and just go for that double tap. Now, the reason that Carson Teva does particularly badly against the Jotaz is Carson Teva passes out buffs constantly. On a basic, one-turn retribution for all of your New Republic allies, that basically just feeds damage and TM to the Jotaz, unfortunately. So it just gets out of hand fast. You only ever really want to use basic and second special with Drogon, and you just go to town, alright? We're trying, right now, first goal is, can we get to contract? And do we hopefully get some counterattacks just like that from our wonderful little bounty hunters over here? I don't use the burning with Drogon because that actually puts retribution on us, and that just means more TM and more offense for the Jotaz. Only have a basic with Cad Bane, so he has the chance to do that double tap. And we put our first 2 Keen Stratagem on the bounty hunters, hopefully getting them to contract. Looks like we've got contract already, which is nice. And then we just go from there. Try and get some decent damage going. Let's keep on doing the basics here. If we get another opportunity over here to put out, what's its face called, name, number? Keen Stratagem. We're going to put it on Cara Dune because she's going to do pretty good damage over here. Definitely should have called in Cad Bane to assist there. Unfortunately, we've already lost our Embo. It's, it is what it is. Unfortunately, the Jotaz will occasionally decide to just ruin your life, and that can happen. Alright, okay, so here we go. We're going to place this on Cara Dune, and it looks like we're going to get about the 80 percentile, give or take, on this team. And that's about in line with kind of the best scores that I have been getting. 80%, looks like we might get a little bit higher. New personal best, 81, close to 82%. And like I said, that is with the free-to-play alt account. I've got 5 stars on all the marquees there. Use that just exclusively by using crystals, right? Using crystals to get it. So we've got one more run, so I will show you how my Carson Teva team sort of performs. Not going to use Zeb because my Zeb is only error level 39. He's not going to do anything good. So we are going to take in Cara Dune, and we are going to take in Drogon. And I think this team here is going to be the best team setup, Zeb if you can use him, for the other bosses. Generally speaking, they don't punish you as much for having all these buffs, right? So we're going to play it a little bit differently. It's a bit weird that we didn't get the counterattack. Maybe, did Cara Dune dodge? I think she dodged at the start. So she'd normally get the retribution going right out the gate, And that's actually really, really important for us to have that first counterattack, because that first counterattack will put on the run on the enemy, and we need that. So normally what will happen is you'll start the battle, they'll do a hit, Cara Dune will counterattack and will put on the run on the Jotaz. Then you want to use the X-Haul flyby. We're not going to use it now, we're just going to basic, and I'll explain that in a second, alright? So let's just call people in. I'll call in Cara Dune. Boop-a-boop-a-boop. Yeah, get kicked in the face. There's the counterattack, there's the on the run. Okay, this is important for us to have over here. This whole team sort of operates on the run, and this is why Jotaz is just particularly penalizing our Carson Teva. He constantly gets rid, he dispels your retribution before dealing damage, so you don't even get the counterattack, which is where so much of the damage in this team comes from. Anyway, gonna basic over here. You really don't want to be getting too many buffs. So just another basic. So once again, Jotaz has already gone back round to backhand sweep. We're going to use X-Haul flyby now because on the run is on the enemy. This basically means the next time we attack out of turn or counter-attack, all New Republic allies are going to assist, okay? So that's what we are waiting for right now. Unfortunately, the Jotaz is just going to be really, really annoying and constantly cleanse off all of our buffs and stuff. All of our buffs and stuff. Alright, so look at all that retribution, and it's gone. It's like, ugh. And then he takes a bonus turn, and now he's got it again. So it's like, how can I get the opportunity to actually get this counterattack going? Nobody will know. Nobody will know. Right, okay, let's just basic over here, and basic. You know, we might get lucky, and the Jotaz might not use that attack. Oh, there we go. So counterattack, everybody assists. That's what you really want to have happen, is you've got on the run, you've used X-Haul flyby, they hit you, you counterattack, and you do really good damage. But the Jotaz just constantly dispels all of this and then gains a bunch of turn meter, goes again, and you never really get to get back round to it. That's why this team in particular is just kind of sucky versus the Jotaz. You can see the comparable score I'm getting is far lower, but that's also with a worst opening. We had really bad RNG with Cara Dune dodging the first attack, slowing down the on the run on the enemy. So you can see there we were like 12% lower than our normal score. Let's go ahead and check out how this played out on the main account where we had a lot more going on. Alright, so on to the main account then, ladies and gentlemen. The main account is a little bit different. You can see over here, I actually cannot do any more refreshes because we went through, I think it's 15, 20 battles, something like that. Just testing things, testing team comps. We are going to go over it in a second. I just want to first and foremost show what it looks like on the main account. 6-star Carson Teva, error level 95. All the units are error level 95 and 7-star, apart from Carson, which is at 6-star, right? And generally speaking, you're throwing in Drogon because Drogon adds so much. Adds survivability, call to assist, extra damage, extra potency. It's too valuable to pass up pretty much at any opportunity. This was our first run, our very first run, and we decided to go for the standard setup over here. You can see it's actually ever level 94 on Carson over here. So this was before we actually got that extra level from making progress, right? So this is at tier 9. I think we were at about 60%, give or take. With Carson Teva, you can call a unit to assist. Generally speaking, you want to call your heaviest attacking unit to assist, whatever that happens to be. And R5 can actually lower the cooldowns on that by using his first special. Now, the problem with using that first special, yes, it increases your damage output on attacks out of turn, increases your crit damage and all this good business. But against the Jotaz in particular, all it does is let you die quicker. It's not that useful, as weird as it sounds. We did multiple attempts. When I was doing this first run, I wasn't actually paying attention with what I'm supposed to be doing, so we didn't actually get the Jotaz to have on the run when we used X-Haul flyby, so we didn't get that counterattack, and that does give you a big chunk of damage. So you do want to make sure that you don't use Ward's X-Haul flyby until the enemy has got on the run over there. Looks like we had a new follower. I didn't even realize that when I was playing the game, but there we go. So I'm calling in Colonel Ward over here because she seems to do the most amount of damage, and this was an okay run. It was an okay run, and we sort of use this as kind of a learning base essentially for whereabouts does Carson Teva actually sit in terms of you know, applicability. So it looks like it was about 61% before we used Carson Teva, and as you can see, we are climbing a little bit higher. I think we get into the 70s, maybe the 80s, something like that. Looks like we will get the 70% here. Most likely. Zeb not dodging. When you need him to dodge, Zeb just refuses, right? Although he did there. So you take the good with the bad, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, this is sort of standard lineup. I do actually feel that dropping someone like Zeb or R5 for Cara Dune is actually a more reliable setup. What do we get? 73% there, which was about a 10 to 11 to 12% uptick on where I was previously. Now, I had a lot of people recommending and telling me in the chat that using an Embo lead was giving them a better score, and that's certainly true of what we saw on my free-to-play alt account, so we decided to test it out here. And it's just, I mean, it does depend, I suppose, on the error levels of your loaned units. You can see my loaned units here are 89. This was the comp setup that people were telling me to use using Embo, Cara Dune, Cad Bane, Drogon, and Carson Teva. Depends on your error levels for your loaned units. They're 89 compared to the 95 of my main units, the main marquees, right? So that's quite a big discrepancy. That's a 6-level difference. They're obviously not going to be as useful as the marquees. Now, I do feel like Embo potentially has a higher ceiling, potentially even in a late game, but I think you have to have closer error levels. More importantly, with the Embo lead, you do need a lot of luck. There are like multiple layers of luck that goes into the Embo lead working appropriately. And that is, do you counterattack frequently enough? There's a 35% chance to counterattack. Does Cad Bane also hit those counterattacks, right? Does he also double tap on his basic? When it gets round to Embo's turns, does Embo crit once contract has been launched? So you get those additional, bonus turns from Embo. As you can see over here, based on the error levels of my loaned units and the luck that I had in this run, which admittedly wasn't great, you can still see it's not actually performing as well as what I would get with just a standard Carson Teva. I know this one over here is about where we got before, but you can see there were a couple of battles here in the middle that pushed my score higher. So my standard score was 81 and this got to 75, which is close. It's probably in the range of that RNG discrepancy, right? So I think this was my best run, once again going in with the standard full New Republic, no Cara Dune in this one. It's all about, do you get the right RNG? Do you land that X-Haul flyby and manage to land another mass assist counterattack? You can see how much damage that does. It just adds so much. That, I feel, is kind of the crux of this team, making sure on the run is on the enemy, and then getting the X-Haul flyby out from Colonel Ward so you can do that mass assist. So it feels like that's the most important thing. As you see, 87% here. I think we get up to 91, give or take. Somewhere in that region. Yeah, there we go, 91%. And I think that's where we ended it. Yeah, that is indeed where we ended it, 91%. So I'll just bring it up just so that you guys can see. But essentially, over here, you'll notice that... So you'll notice this one part within Colonel Ward's unique, essentially. It says over here, whenever allies trigger exposed out of turn, they gain crit damage up for 1 turn. Whenever Ward uses X-Haul flyby, if any enemies have on the run, all New Republic allies will assist the next time any ally counterattacks. So using this second special whilst the enemy has on the run means the next time we attack out of turn, everybody attacks out of turn, and it works particularly well with Carson, because if it's his turn, or if it's not his turn, he's going to attack again. So it's like he gets like 3 or 4 attacks in. It's a really good way of doing some good damage. Once again, we also have R5, this tactical support. When you use this, it is going to be passing a lot of benefits. It's going to be passing all of those buffs with retribution, retaliate, sorry, not retribution. But also it's going to increase our attack out of turn damage through Ward. It's a really confusing setup. They're kind of all little bits and pieces you can see here. Whenever the enemy dispels retaliate on an ally, New Republic allies gain 10% offense, stacking maximum 50% when attacking enemies out of turn. So it's very specific around how this team works, right? Need a lot of attacks out of turn, and Jotaz just kind of shuts it down so much. But I'm pretty confident that every single new boss is going to be vastly improved thanks to Carson Teva. We've already had a massive uptick from 60% to 91% with the introduction of Carson Teva in my main account. And I think the best score that I got with an Embo lead was about 74%. So late game, you're definitely better going Carson Teva until you've got to the point where your marquees are really high in error levels. I say really high, are at least 95 in error levels. Then you're probably going to be better off with your loaned units and using like an Embo lead, in particular for the Jotaz. So anyway, that's current findings. I'm going to find out how he performs against the next boss, which I think is the Dryax. I think he'll do okay versus Dryax. So stay tuned for that. Like the video, leave me a comment down below with what teams you use. Make sure, guys, you give me your error levels in there, because people saying, yeah, such and such works best for me without the context of how much error levels are on your loaned units and your marquees and the stars and all that sort of thing, it loses so much context and value. So yeah, let me know all the details in the comment section down below so we can test out some more stuff. I will see you all in the very next video. Peace out, and may the force be with you.